My last race was on June 4th of 2023. It was 20 months ago at Cheongunsan in South Korea, full distance. And it happened to be my best race, my best execution, my best performance. And I was very excited by it. Very excited after the race. It came a month after Atlas was born. And before that, earlier in the year, I went to Puerto Varas in Chile for 70.3, and I also had my best performance at that distance. So it just felt like, in March you have your best 70.3. In June, you have your best full distance. I was very much looking forward to the second part of 2023, and I felt like maybe it finally clicked. I felt really good. Very happy with where I was at. And sure enough, when you think it's going to go this way, it actually went this way. Actually went downhill. I just picked the wrong race. I agreed to go show up, to go race the wrong race. And from there, we went to Europe to visit my parents. And then from there, just a series of things led on to essentially ending 2023. But ending 2023 was still a fantastic year. So I looked up to 2024, looked at races. Challenge Roth was very, very high on my list of races I wanted to do. 2024 was rough, to say the least. Let's see, for 4 years, I managed to dodge COVID. And Atlas came back from daycare one day, and he brought back COVID with him. It took me 11 days to get COVID out of my system. I tested positive for 11 straight days. And physically it was rough. It was very, very difficult. But I bounced back at the end of January, early February. Plan was to go to Challenge Taiwan. Fantastic race. Really, really liked the race. And then Challenge Roth. And then on March 12, 2024, things changed for the worst. I crashed on the bike. I ended up in first at the ER, and then I was transported to the trauma center. I don't know how people bounce back so quickly, but for me, it took its toll. Well, physically, obviously, because I had severe injuries. I really realized how severe it was when, after I was taken to the ER, the doctor at the ER, I thought gave me the option to either go home or be taken to trauma. But I was already high on drugs and really acute pain. And I wasn't given the option. The ambulance was being booked, and before I knew it, I was transported to the trauma center. And when I got there, how quickly they took care of me and redoing all the tests that they did, and I asked why, and because the impact and the severity of the impact and where it was, right around the neck. There's some arteries here that were concerning. And when I was taken to my hospital room, that's when it really hit. You know, you have a schedule of nurses coming every 45 minutes to check on you. Then overnight, they wake you up and do all the tests, and which is, I mean, I was taken care of really, really well. It was amazing. Yeah, it took me a while to physically recover. In April, I was able to get in the water, but just kicking. And actually, surprisingly, I was able to start moving somewhat better and better fairly soon. And my goals were to do 70.3 Cozumel and Ironman Cozumel, September, end of September and end of November. And we were training for it starting in mid-May, I believe, or June.
That's challenging, man.
And in August.
Got no balance?
I remember I just had one day where
I don't know.
I had a mental breakdown. I just couldn't do it anymore. I needed a break. I never gave myself a chance to accept what happened to me. I kind of try to brush it off, which in hindsight, like the doctor said, if you send a few millimeters closer to my neck, and that could have been a different story. So I think I never gave myself a chance to just accept and understand what happened. So in mid-August, I took a complete break and decided that if I were to train again, if I were to race again, it needed to naturally come back to me, the motivation, the drive to train. So I went 4 or 5 weeks without doing anything, and then October 1st, I told myself, okay, if I want to do something, I'll just do it. And if it is getting on the bike and 5 minutes in, I just want to turn around and go home, I would. Nothing structured. It kind of worked because I started wanting to get moving again. And towards the end of October, I found myself doing some really cool rides, long rides, 5-hour rides, inland, beautiful roads, country roads. And so I connected with my coach again and with Ben and said, hey, let's give it another shot, one last shot. And so we started with structured training on November 18th. And it's been going well. It's very difficult to train knowing that your last race was your best race, but you were physically broken for so long that you just don't know where you're at, and you raced. It was such a long time ago that I have, aside from memories of doing my best race, having my best race, anything else is very blurry. So it was a bit challenging, but Ben has been incredibly good at timing things carefully and planning things carefully. I noticed that I have a really hard time recovering from hard efforts and hard weeks now. But fitness came along and started to feel good. And so swimming more frequently, more often, 4, sometimes 5 swims a week. My biggest swim week was 25 kilometers, but I would say I average between 16 and 19 kilometers a week. And the swim is what it is, but I'm pretty happy with how I swam. I've been swimming with a friend, Shane, who is really, really fast. And one of my athletes, Ben, who was incredibly fast
ugly as hell.
a few times. So
You're
it's
lucky
been
it's your
fun,
birthday
and
today.
started joining every now and then a master's session just to keep things interesting. And then the bike, I don't have any fear of riding outside. I enjoy the bike. I consider the bike to be my strongest, and to see where the watts were was difficult. So I just tuned off and just rode, forgot about power, and trusted Ben fully with what he was giving me, and he's never been wrong. And I joked once on a text that it was annoying how good he is. He's never wrong. But again, like the power started to come back. Nothing crazy, but consistency started to show a bit more, and that's been good for me. Longer rides outside, but also we added heat training, and every time I would be on the trainer, which is a lot more these days. If I take my bike out once a week, that's probably average. When I first started racing professionally, I would be 99% outside, but things have changed now. So I'm a lot more on the trainer. And when I do ride on the trainer, I try to make it a point to do some sort of heat, and I think it helped. I just feel better outside. And the run was tough for a while. Like, heart rate was elevated for a while, and efforts at 5-minute K pace felt very hard, and just like everything else, one day it just boom, just feels easier. 440 feels easier, 430 feels easier, 420 feels easier. Harder efforts feel a bit easier. Harder, longer efforts, and the runs running here is pretty amazing along the coast, but also had some tough runs, and one run in the rain, cold rain. But overall, like, physically, I'm happy with where I'm at. It's been very different. Marissa asked me, what do you want to achieve in New Zealand, in Taupo? And I don't know. Of course, part of me wants to be competitive. That's just how we are. Of course, part of me dreams of being competitive. The reality will be what I'll do on race day. And like I mentioned, it's been 20 months since my last race. And my last race was my best race, so it's a bit difficult to go with that mindset. But also on the positive side, it's like, oh, your last race was a positive race, was a great race, so why not try to continue that trend? So I'm excited about New Zealand because it's a race that I've been wanting to do for years now. There's something that attracts me about New Zealand. We spent our honeymoon in the Cook Islands. I would have loved for Atlas and Marissa to come, but timing-wise and financially, it's not really doable. Especially we have a big trip coming up in Europe in the summer, so financially it would have been difficult. But here I am, just about to get on the plane to New Zealand and get all the feels again. So knock on wood. Well, today I woke up with a sore throat. I'm not surprised. It's not uncommon after like a hard week of training. Last hard week of training, and overall happy to be healthy again. Really don't know what to expect for Ironman New Zealand. some days I just feel like, wow, why I'm back. And some days, most days, I just wonder why I'm doing this, because it's very freaking difficult. I'm hoping that I'm able to freshen up, to rest well, to sleep well while I'm there, and get all the sessions ticked off. And who knows, I went to Challenge Gunsan in 2023, completely sleep deprived because Atlas was a month old. And I had my best race, like really felt amazing up until 32K into the run. So no pressure for this one, and hopefully the sensations are the same, and we'll just see what that yields on race day. And then we'll take a little break, and we'll get ready for Challenge Roth in July of this year. And this time, Atlas and Marissa will come. I want them to experience what Challenge Roth is about. Very, very much looking forward to that one. So yeah, very, very happy with being able to hop on the plane for another race, another Ironman. And let's just see what the body has to give.